billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace used by the prophets and the messengers of Almighty Allah, universal creator. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, this is the first day of Ramadan, 1444, coinciding with the 24th day of March 2023, and shukr to Allah, it is an opportunity for us to begin this month with a lecture. As we have spoken last week, that the month of Ramadan is really the month in which the Quran was revealed. The revelation began in the month of Ramadan through the Archangel Jibreel alayhi salam to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he went from being a person to receiving revelation. He went to becoming a revelator. Revelation was given to him in this distinguished month, one of the 4 sacred months, and perhaps the most sacred month in the Islamic calendar, the month of Ramadan. So in the month of Ramadan, the Quran was revealed to humanity through the agency of Jibreel alayhi salam to the Prophet Muhammad, who became a revelator at that particular point. Very significant, very significant. And we were speaking about that the Quran is truly world-changing information, that those of you who are aware of history and the period of ignorance and barbaricism that prevailed in Saudi Arabia, how the Quran led to the transformation of not only those people and people thereafter in surrounding lands and eventually in the world. And that transformation was a transformation of darkness into light. The Quran, it says it was revealed in the month of Ramadan, and it is a book of guidance, and so humanity was transformed through the Quran, and this can be looked at from various ways, including academic and scientific discoveries and other kinds of contributions that were made by the Arab scholars who had been influenced by Islam out of that dark period. So today we continue with our lecture, and that the Quran was revealed in this month, and the Quran tells us that in this month it is prescribed that those who live to see the month, that we fast. That fasting was prescribed to those before us, and then it was prescribed to those to whom the information was being revealed at that time, that it was now incumbent on them to practice fasting. So fasting in Arabic is called Saum, S-A-U-M, and in Indian language I think it's called Roza, but it's what we understand as when somebody is abstaining. It's a fast, it's an abstinence, you're abstaining, But I want to speak today about the importance of fasting and the what it is, and what's its benefit and value, and what is its purpose, because a lot of times people think to fast means to simply deprive yourself, that when you fast you are depriving yourself. And a lot of people suggest that when you deprive yourself, then you feel hunger, and then you can have more compassion for the people, that are without food and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that's not one of the benefits of fasting, that you have more compassion for those without food, because if you didn't fast, then you wouldn't know what hunger is, So There are many benefits of fasting, from health benefits and, develop yourself in different ways, endurance, and so on and so forth. But the Quran tells us that the purpose of fasting, and it's very clear on this, is that we may develop taqwa, that we may develop that level of strength that is God consciousness, that level of spiritual strength, that spiritual strength that allows us to actually be human beings, that conduct ourselves morally and ethically, that spiritual strength that allows us to live securely, that allows us to function in the world without living controlled by the world. You get what I mean? So the purpose of fasting is to develop Allah consciousness, to develop that spiritual strength, to experience that shield. The word taqwa comes from the root of a shield. It's like a spiritual protection. See, when you have taqwa, when you are Allah conscious, you are spiritually developed, and that's a shield that protects you from operating if you were not developed in taqwa. Remember, we've been speaking about for over a year around the subject of Adam and Eve. They listened to Satan and they went into an experience of separation from their Creator. And they felt the shame and so on and so forth. And thereafter Adam he repented, and Allah said that there you and your people will remain insecure until guidance comes to you. When guidance comes to you, you will no longer be insecure. And then, there will not be disease in your heart, etc., etc., and you will not be astray. See, so this ties in with that human beings have been in a state of separation, seeming separation from the Creator. We feel disconnected, we feel alone, we feel threatened. And the Quran tells us that those who remember Allah, Allah remembers them. It tells us that those who fail to remember Allah, theirs will be a depressed life. In their hearts is a disease. The Quran also tells us there are people who say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they do not believe in Allah in the last day. They fool Allah thinking they only fool themselves thinking they fool Allah. In their hearts is a disease. Allah leaves them to stray, and that disease is expanded. You get what I mean? The Quran tells us our purpose here is to bring to Allah a purified heart. Our purpose here is to bring to Allah a purified. We are all here to go from insecurity to security, from this experience of aloneness, this existential abandonment, this feeling like we're alone, we're separate in this world, unsupported, and we are here, and this is a threatening world that we live in, and we're vulnerable. And then that's when Satan whispers to you. You know what I mean? When you feel insecure, the Quran tells us that Satan threatens you with insecurity and causes you to behave in ways unseemly. Get what I mean? So when you feel insecure, when you're in this world and in your heart is a disease and you don't know, guidance has not come to you, you feel alone, you feel unsupported, the Quran tells us when you remember Allah, you experience assurance, you experience that security, you experience that feeling of, sortedness, that you have Allah. You get what I mean? The Quran tells us that we have Allah. We have Allah. You get what I mean? People say we need you Allah, we need you Allah, but we actually have Allah. When we are in the fallen state, when guidance did not come to us, and we are living without guidance, and then we're living in a state of ignorance, a diseased heart of insecurity, then what happens is we feel like we need Allah. In the meantime, Allah created us to not depend on anybody or anything created, to rely only upon Him. And Allah is sufficient for us. Allah has already given us existence. We don't have to make Allah give us existence. Allah has already created us as the highest life form on earth. He says, we created you in the best of molds. He said, we created you as the most preferred and favored of all creation on earth, and so on and so forth. It is in the Quran. And Allah has created us empowered and endowed. We got reason, and we can reflect, and we can be aware, and we can go beyond unawareness, because that's what the message of the Quran is, to go beyond living unconsciously. Get what I mean? To go beyond being unaware, to go beyond being ignorant, to go beyond living superstitiously, ignorantly, arrogantly. The Quran is guiding us to conscious awareness. The Quran is guiding us to live, experiencing, connected, feeling secure. To feel secure means to be a believer. When you're secure, the Prophet said, when they asked him, who is secure? He said, one whom everybody is safe from. A believer has taqwa. That's the difference. You see, so human beings, while they're here, until guidance comes to them, they're going to be unaware, non-experiencing. They're going to live with emotions driving them, like animalistic impulse, instinct. They're going to be thinking strange thoughts, steal, cheat, rob, rape, force control. You know what I mean? Be needy, you're threatened, you're vulnerable, be scared, be defensive, be protective, only worry about yourself, grab whatever you can, make people give you whatever you can. You get what I mean? This is not human excellence. When guidance hasn't come to people, and they are living unaware, ignorant, superstitious, arrogant, entitled, feeling like they should just have whatever they want, whenever they want, and God should just give it to them. And they're unaware. They're unaware of God, the nature of God. They're not God conscious. You see, they're not God. So this is the purpose of guidance. The purpose of guidance is to guide us from ignorance, superstition, arrogance, this insecurity, this neediness, this vulnerability, to actually recognize we have Allah, who has given us life, who has given us quality of life above the animals, who's given us faculties of reason. Granted, most people don't reason, and we can be aware of him. I mean, what can be more wonderful for us to be aware of than our Creator? What can be more wonderful for us to learn about other than our Creator? What can we be interested in that's more interesting than our Creator? What is more for us to be impressed with than our Creator? You get what I mean? And we human beings, we can actually become aware of our Creator, and we can experience that awareness. You see, we can live demonstrating from security, iman, yaqeen, certainty of faith, taqwa. We can excel in the world. We can use the faculties that God has given us, creativity and so on, contribute to our lives, contribute to the lives of others, like the Muslims of hundreds of years ago, who were guided and were really into learning, growth and development, and benefiting themselves and other people, and moving humanity forward. You get what I mean? In the past couple hundred years, there is no such thing in the Muslim world. Muslim world went into a cocoon and staying there. You know what I mean? No contribution really. After the contribution that has been made, remarkable contributions, there's a decline, there's a decay in the spiritual state of what we would call Muslims in the world. And they're not really interested in the guidance. The Quran is all about learning, growth and development, becoming aware, living, demonstrating human excellence. The Quran is about us actually recognizing that we can experience expression. We can express. Allah is loving, we can express being loving. We can experience being loved by Allah. I'm reminded of the verse in the Quran that says Allah created us from one soul into pairs, that we may take partners from among ourselves, and that we may then have love and compassion in our hearts to give each other and dwell with each other in sakeen, in taskeen, which basically means that state of serene harmony, love and compassion in our hearts. If you look at today in the world, in the Muslim world, the amount of people that are not married and have never been married, if you look at the people that are married and divorced, you understand, if you look at the amount of people that have been married and divorced again, you can see there is a problem. And the solution is simple: love and compassion in your heart. You understand? If you develop a love and compassion, then you can take partners who have love and compassion, and you can live with each other in this harmony, taskeen. You get what I mean? But people are unaware. You get what I mean? They're unaware of Allah's love and compassion. So where are you going to have love and compassion for yourself and receive Allah's love and compassion and give other people? People are not Allah conscious. People are religion consciousness. I wouldn't even say people are Islam conscious. I would say people are religious. People are into religiosity. But they're not into Allah consciousness. There's no iman in the heart. There's no bringing to Allah a purified heart. Remember, the Quran tells us, do not say that you're a believer if iman has not entered into your heart. Rather say you are submissive in religion. So the Quran is guiding us. It's telling us fasting has been prescribed upon those before you. We know the people of Jesus fasted. We know the people of Moses fasted. And we know other people have fasted. And other people we don't know who fasted. We don't even know people today fast. Spiritual people and so on and so forth. And so fasting has been prescribed for one reason, and one reason alone, and that is that you may attain taqwa. It's not for any other reason, although other reasons are beneficial, incidental. I mean, if you do not eat for a certain amount of hours, then your body goes into a state of balance and detox and cleansing. It allows healing to occur. Free radicals are consumed. People with cancer and all are recommended to fast because it's healthy. But the Quran is telling us that the purpose of fasting is not for your physical health. Not to say it's against physical health. I suppose anything that brings taqwa is beneficial in other ways. You get what I mean? So, although there's so many other benefits of fasting, that you become compassionate to people without food, you feel what hunger feels like, and all that sort of thing. But the purpose of fasting, according to the Quran, is to develop taqwa. And so most people don't know, and they don't know that they don't know. Right? Ignorance, superstition, arrogance. So if you ask somebody like, why are you fasting? What is fasting? That's why I call it the fast. The F-A-R-C-E. In the Muslim world today, it's the fast. For this month, there'll be a fast. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? Why do I say it's a fast? Because it's not a fast. A fast is a spiritual discipline with a purpose. There is intention. So what we have going on is people will say, right, let's get up before the sun goes up and let's have a hearty meal. Some people are having curries and rice and all, have a hearty meal. You know what I mean? Let's have this full out meal for breakfast before the sun rises. And then they'll starve the whole day and complain and I'm tired, I can't do this, I can't do that, whatever it is, I'm fasting. And then when it comes time to break fast, again another hearty feast. I'm not saying everybody does that, and I'm not saying to do that is bad or wrong. I'm just saying that's not a fast. You understand? A fast is not where you stock up your food before the time for fast, and so that it'll pull you, so you don't have to feel hunger for the day, and then at the end of the day you eat as a feast. That's not a fast. And what's worse is that the people are consuming not tayyib. You starve yourself the whole day, which is good for a physical cleansing, right? The body is starved, physical cleansing. But then you put oils and a whole lot of things that are not tayyib, food that are completely, not tayyib. You might say halal, you know what I mean? But it's not tayyib, it's not healthy, it's not wholesome. So right off the bat, that we can see that this idea that a fast is deprivation and we've got to avoid it, so let's just pump ourselves up with food before the fast and at the end of the fast so that we are not really feeling deprived and we're not feeling starvation. You get what I mean? This is not a fast. And then when you eat things that are not healthy, the Quran says do not consume haram, and only consume halal and consume tayyib. And you start eating foods that are not tayyib, not wholesome. That's That's not a fast. That's a fast. In your head, you think you're fasting, but nobody explained to you that's not a fast. And a fast is a spiritual discipline to attain taqwa. That's what a fast is. It's a spiritual discipline to attain God consciousness, to become aware of God. So how does a person who fasts, and what is a real fast? What is a real fast? What is a real fast about? Now, incidentally, I love fasting. One of the things I love doing as a spiritual discipline is fasting. And I can tell you from my personal experience, I have developed benefits. I have grown in leaps and in bounds as a person in terms of my taqwa and in terms of my personality, iman and amal. In terms of my iman and my amal through the practice of fasting, it's really transformative. And I'm going to share that with you. In this week's session, in next week's session, we're going to begin to look at the spiritual discipline of fasting and what is its purpose and how to make sure that you are fasting for the purpose that the Quran says that you are fasting to attain taqwa. Firstly, we want to make sure, are you really fasting? Are you practicing Sawm, what they translate as fasting? Are you really practicing Sawm, or are you just starving yourself during a certain period and you are having a discomfort and you're trying to alleviate that by eating as much as you can at Sehri time and eating as much as you can at Iftar, Fatar, the opening, of the fast. So, you want to see, am I in a fast? Is this a big fast? I'm fasting. Like most people, it's about God and the truth and Islam. And most people are like, I'm just doing it because they said I must do it. I'm just doing this thing. Get on the prayer mat and do my thing here. But there's no ascension. There's no connection. There's no, people are, I just say I believe in Allah. But there's no awareness of Allah consciousness. You see, I don't know about you, but it does matter to me that if I do something, I just don't do it for the sake of doing it. I do it for the purpose of doing it. I do it for the benefit of doing it. I want to do something, not to tick the box. I starved myself on the first day of Ramadan and the second day and the whole month during the sunlight hours. I starved myself. So very good. You know what I mean? I don't want to be fooled by Satan. I want to do what we are guided to do for our benefit. The Quran says many times, if you only knew, even about fasting, the benefits, if you only knew the benefits, if you only but knew. See, people are like fasting, the month comes and goes, they starve themselves, and there's no increase in taqwa. There's no increase in Allah consciousness. There's no change in them. There's no change in their personality. So, did you attain taqwa? If you fasted and you attained taqwa, there surely would be a difference with you after the month of Ramadan for those 30 days of fasting and spiritual practice. You get what I mean? Compared to before that. So this is what we want to look at. What is your understanding of fasting? What is your understanding? Many times I've asked you, what is your idea of the Quran? Last week I asked you, what do you think the Quran is? What do you think the Quran is for? You get what I mean? And some people will say it's just for reciting in Arabic, and the more you just recite it in Arabic, and the better it is for you, get sawab. People think that's what the Quran is for. Most people that I know think that's what it's for. But the Quran says it's a guidance for humanity to heal the diseases of the heart. It is a guide. It's there as a guidance. You are to reason. It says it's a book for people to reason. For the reasoning, reflecting people. It will guide them. You get what I mean? So a lot of people just say, when people read the Quran, just say, MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Quran, when you hear it, you must just say MashaAllah in Arabic, MashaAllah. You must just say, so people don't even know what they're hearing. They don't even know what they're saying when they're saying mashallah. But just blind following, fit in with the rest of the sheeples. Everybody's doing that, you must fit into. Then you don't feel like you're different. You don't feel funny. You get what I mean? Everybody's doing it. It must be right. It's like the emperor's new clothes. You know the story of the emperor's new clothes? Everybody says, look at the emperor's wonderful clothes. In the meantime, he's stark naked. You know what I mean? Oh, look at this clothes. How wonderful. Everybody can see this clothes. Oh, the child says, what's up? Emperor is naked. You know what I mean? You didn't know you're supposed to be fitting in with the people. So what I'm saying is, you got to answer. You know, the Quran is telling you what it is. It's a book of guidance. It's taking people from the darkness into the light. It is salvation to humanity, to guide them to the hereafter. You know, that gives them truth about what we're doing in this world, what happened here, what our challenge is here. That's what the Quran is for. Imagine if Jibreel just brought the Quran and the Prophet said, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. And he said to the people, this is what I'm reading. And they say just mashallah, mashallah. But they're not comprehending. Read in the name of your Lord who created. You get what I mean? Read, understand, recite, repeat, say this. Absorb this. No. The Jibreel didn't say, I'm coming here, I'm going to give you over 23 years a lot of information. All you have to say is mashallah, mashallah. You know what I mean? That's all. If you hear the Quran, you know, and you understand what it's saying to you, that is a guidance. Even if you say, Allah, guide me to understand the message of the Quran, which is what I do. You know, so did that happen? Did Jibreel come and say, look, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon you, you know what I mean? I'm giving you the 5 pillars. Here are the 5 pillars. All you got to do is follow these 5 pillars. And now I'm going to bring you this Quran, and all you got to do is just read it. Just repeat it. Without understanding a word, repeat it. You know what I mean? All you do is repeat it and say mashallah when you hear it. Because that's what it looks like the people are up to. It looks like the people are saying, what are the 5 pillars? We're just going to do this 5 pillars, and we're just going to read the Quran in a language you don't understand, and we're going to follow that. You know, that's what it looks like. And then what the teachers have told us, you know, we'll do this, don't do this, this is right, fit in that particular group. But what is it really? What is the Quran? What is its purpose? How does it benefit us? Like I said, it tells you how to live, to conduct yourself in consuming halal and tayyib. It makes you from ignorance, unaware of your destructive role in your eating habits to your body. It makes you aware, eat halal and tayyib. It makes you aware, conscious of your eating. Now imagine someone say, I don't know. I just say, mashallah, mashallah, read it. But they're not halal and tayyib. Look at your role in your own life. You get what I mean? So, one of the pillars of Islam is Sawm, is fasting. And again, so people think, well, fasting means just starve yourself. Just don't eat any food. Your appetites, physical hungers, deprive yourself. During this, you can't. You know you can't? You can't eat and you can't do that. You know, no sexual activity and no physical stimulation of any kind, food or sex, from sun up to sundown. That is fasting. It's a form of deprivation. I can tell you nothing can be further away from the truth. Fasting is not about deprivation. It's not at all about deprivation. It's not about being hungry and starving, because then all the starving and hungry people of the world would be the most spiritually developed people. You get what I mean? Anybody who didn't eat food and starved, and if that was fasting, they would be the most spiritual, they would be having the most taqwa. Do you understand? I don't think so. That starving people develop spiritually. So it is a process of starting off with an intention. I am fasting, which is not deprivation, and I'm fasting to attain taqwa. I want to draw closer to Allah. I want to become more aware of Allah. And so how does fasting, abstention, to abstain from the body's urges or the body's hungers, how does it develop taqwa? That is the question we are to ask ourselves. And so the way it develops is like this. You are choosing to not be controlled by the body. You're saying, I will get hungry, I will have these urges. But in spite of these urges, I'm choosing to not consummate these urges. I'm not going to consume. Although my body will want me to consume or consummate, it has an appetite, my body. I'm choosing to not be controlled by my body's appetites. I am going to be focused without being controlled by my body. Now, what is the significance of this? Because most people think, I'm hungry. You know what I mean? I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. And other urges people might feel. I am hungry. I am, put it in. So people feel that I have this urge, this desire, my body. So is it really you that are hungry? Is it really you that are hungry? Or is it your body that's hungry? You see? So most people think, I'm my body. I'm my body. I'm this body separate. And whatever my body wants, whatever my body sees, hears, smells, tastes, touch, whatever my mind thinks, that's what I want. Most people are deeply identified with their bodies. And they thus then are deeply identified with separation from Allah. They thus then identified with the dunya or what's going on perceived by the body. But when you choose to fast, you are choosing to recognize, I am not my body. I'm not my body. I am separate from my body. You see, I am choosing to not be controlled by my body's urges. This is the significance of fasting. To actually become aware beyond you as a body, you as desires, you as that nafs, the type of nafs that I need to be satisfied. I must get what I want, that false sense, that separation, that false sense of I. So when you choose to fast, you are coming to know yourself as beyond that false sense of I that is identified with the body. You come to know my body is hungry, but I am not going to, in this moment, fulfill its hunger. Rather than being as the body, in the body, living, you are becoming aware of yourself beyond the nafs, that type of nafs. And that's when that nafs, that is that lower part of you, that you feel separate and you have to have what you want and whatever you need and this and that, and you begin to separate from that and you begin to realize, I can focus on Allah. I can focus on, as long as you identified with the nafs, you can't, I'm talking about this lower nafs, there's about 6 different kinds of nafs in Arabic understanding, you know what I mean? But I'm talking about the lower nafs, the satanic nafs, the separation. As long as you identified with your body and this world, you're part of that fallen state. But if you can say, I choose to abstain. My body desires it, but I choose to abstain. I choose to become aware of myself beyond my body. And I choose to become aware of Allah beyond this world. I choose to go multidimensional. I choose to become spiritually aware. I choose to know myself separate from my urges and nafs that I'm usually controlled by. Now, that's a fast. That's a fast because you are breaking free of the nafs, that the lower nafs, that is actually what you identified with usually. And you can know yourself as the one who chooses beyond the choosing of your nafs. And for the purpose of attaining Allah consciousness. for the purpose of saying the less controlled I am by my body and its urges and its needs, the more I can become aware of truth, haq. The more I can become aware as I look around me, the power of Allah. Because of Allah I am. Because of Allah I continue to be. Because of Allah this world is. You get what I mean? When you look through the nafs, you only see what's in this world that you believe you need, you must have, you crave, you control by it. Me, 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 me. But when you choose to practice the spiritual discipline of fasting, you are separating yourself from that. Me, 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 I need this, I need that, this in the world, I desire, I need to be satisfied. And you have the space from that aspect of you that you can then look and see. You can then, and choose to be Allah conscious, then you can begin to see beyond that limited view of the nafs. That you can see, I was not, and then I was born. I was in my mother's womb and I was born and I was transformed. This body grew, not because of me, not because of anybody, not because of my parents, but because of Allah. You'll begin to see, you'll be able to look from the multidimensional perspective, from beyond the nafs. You'll be able to see more clearly the power of Allah, the privileging of Allah. You'll be able to look and see from beyond the usual nafs, me, this, that, I need, just sort me out, I just need this and that. You'll be able, when you put that aside, and again, you don't fast day in and day out, 24 hours. You only fast from sun up to sundown. This is not like, let's just fast the whole day and whole night. Because that would be not really a fast. You get what I mean? Although some people think that that's a fast. A fast is not to suffer. A fast is not to make you weak. A fast is not to hold you back in life and make you diseased. The Quran says plainly, if you are traveling, if you are sick, do not fast. You know what I mean? It's not that Allah wants you to suffer and have difficulty. Usra. Allah wants ease for you. Yusra. You see, Allah wants ease for you. Allah doesn't want dis-ease for you. So a fast is done within a range of healthy functioning. It means you have eaten before the fast, and you will eat after the fast. You're not making yourself sick and ill, because some people think the more I make myself sick and ill, I'm keeping a fast. That's not the point of the fast, to suffer with disease, etc., etc. So we'll talk more about this inshallah as we go through our lectures, but just becoming aware that at this particular point, what do you think a fast is? How do you fast? You know what I mean? What's your fasting habits? Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Are you controlled by the feeling of deprivation and scared? When Ramadan comes, you get scared. I'm going to be deprived. Or when you say Ramadan comes as an opportunity to practice abstention. It's an opportunity to strengthen my sense of self beyond my nafs. That's what happens when you fast. And that's what develops you into patience. And when you're breaking your fast, are you like counting the seconds? How many more seconds? Is it time? Is it time? I can't wait. That's not a fast. A fast must be where you are calm and you're relaxed, not waiting for the time. You get what I mean? When you say, and when the time comes to break your fast, it doesn't go from, I was over controlled, now I'm going to be under controlled. You go from abstention to calm, relating to the food naturally and easily, rather than, let's stuff my face up now because I was starving. That's not a fast as far as I'm concerned. That's a fast. Shukr to Allah who has guided us. May we use the month of Ramadan to actually develop taqwa, which then is felt by us in the month of Ramadan and beyond the month of Ramadan too. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.